Hello and welcome to my brand new booktube channel. I'm Mads and this is Mads' Reading. Since this is my first video, the audio and camera quality may not be that great. I don't have any equipment at all. It's my very first time trying this. I am literally shooting this video on my iPad using my cat tower as a setup. Hopefully as this goes on I can get better stuff and learn how to do this better, but for right now, please bear with me. Please don't let it stop you from watching. I'd greatly appreciate it. I've been wanting to start a booktube channel for just about forever, and I've always just been a little bit too scared to do it, but now I'm diving into it, and so let's hope this goes well, and let's just see how this goes. So this is Mads' Reading, and for this very first video, I'm going to be answering some questions that I have been asked on Twitter. So let's dive into it. Okay, the first question is, was there a book you went into not really expecting much, but then you ended up loving it? Absolutely. I read a lot of books that I don't honestly expect to love because they're popular, like the Mortal Instruments series or Throne of Glass. But there's definitely a book that I read. I was not expecting to love it at all. I was expecting to kind of drag through it and force myself to end up reading it. And it was for a book club from the town where I live, and that is Daughter Dalloway by Emily France. This book was so good. I was not expecting to love it at all. It's a historical fiction. It is a spin-off retelling of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. At least I'm pretty sure it's by Virginia Woolf. About her daughter who is trying to find her because she went missing years ago. And it's just about Elizabeth Dalloway's adventure kind of through high society life in the 1920s England, and also this other girl who's trying to find her missing brother, and you're just waiting to see where their stories connect, and you're just going through them developing as people and as women, and it's just absolutely amazing. The next question is, what's the best book you've read within your least favorite genre, or at least one of your least favorites? I feel like I don't really have a least favorite genre anymore. I definitely used to, and one of my least favorite genres was always mystery or historical fiction. You know, historical fiction would obviously be Daughter Dalloway. I don't really read many historical fictions. Daughter Dalloway is definitely one of my favorites, but another one of my least favorites was always mystery. And then I read One of Us is Lying, and it kind of got me into mystery a little bit more, so I started reading more mysteries. But my favorite within the series, it has to be A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I love this book. It's so good. And I will never not stop talking about this because it's just amazing. It's about this girl, Pip, who is trying to figure out a mystery for a school project, which is really cool. And she basically unravels everything the police did 5 years back when solving this mystery. And it's just amazing. And I loved it, and that's my cat. But this book's just amazing, and definitely my favorite within the mystery genre, which is not one of my favorite genres to read. Or at least it wasn't. I'm getting into it now. The third question for the day is, what was a hyped book that was not worth the hype? And I feel like I'm gonna get some hate for this. One of the books that is really hyped right now is Cruel Prince. And I did not love Cruel Prince. And I promised Elsa I would give it a second chance. I am gonna keep that promise eventually. But I just did not love it, and I'm sorry. I don't get the hype. I don't love Juden Carden. The story's kind of cool though, I will admit that, and I do plan on going back and trying again to see if maybe I can like it a little bit more now than I did about 2 years ago, I think. But I just did not love it. I'm sorry. And another book that is really hyped and is really well loved that I just did not love, and I gave it a 3 stars, was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I'm really sorry about this, but okay, if you see the camera moving, that's my cat. But this book, I just did not love. I liked the story. I think the old Hollywood story was amazing, and I think the way it was told with like the interview kind of sparking it and like making Evelyn talk about it was just amazing. And I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid does amazing with the stories that she tells. But I did not love Evelyn, and I did not love Celia, and I especially did not love them together. I thought they were really toxic, and I think that took away a lot of the story for me, and I think it kind of overlapped how good the story was told. And I know a lot of people will hate me for saying this, and I'm sorry, but I just did not love it. And it is really hyped, so this definitely counts. So, I'm sorry. On to the next question. It says, what book character do you find that you are most like and you resonate with? I don't really have that many specific examples. I feel like I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot of characters I'm just like, that's me. But one character I did kind of find myself relating to a lot was in A Dark and Hollow Star. The main character, who I cannot remember the name of right now despite me loving that book, was just very anxious and kind of a very much a reluctant chosen one. And that would be me in that situation. She was just kind of like, I don't want to be here doing this. Like, why can't other people figure this out? Why am I the one doing this? And just very kind of anxious about what she has to do, and that's pretty much me. So basically any character who's an anxious mess and doesn't want to be doing like the quest or something would probably be me, because let's be real here, I would not do well in most of the books that I read. So yeah, or maybe Charlie from Heartstopper, I feel like I can relate to a bit, just because of like his mental health issues. I don't know, there's not really that many specific examples I can think about where I'm just like, that's me. Okay, somebody asked, do you read books with or without background sounds? Because I personally cannot. I prefer reading books with background sound. Like I really like to put like on a playlist that matches the vibe or is a playlist based off that book. I read The Raven Boys and found this really amazing Raven Boys playlist that me and my friend just started listening to, like, no matter what we were reading. It became our reading playlist despite it being for a book that I wasn't reading anymore. So I really like that one. I love putting on background music. I can handle not having background sound, but I prefer it. Okay, next question is, how do I get myself out of a book slump? Now, this is hard for me to answer, mainly because I haven't been in a book slump in a while, which I'm sorry, but I've been lucky lately. But I do remember a couple years back, I was in a really bad book slump, and I believe it was Aurora Rising, this lovely book, that got me out of it. I'm a mood reader. I'm a major mood reader, and so I think to get myself out of a book slump is to find a book that I'm like specifically in the mood for. So, and that typically involves like found family, a cute romance, or a fun adventure. So I kind of have to just analyze what I'm in the mood for and then go in a deep dive for like a book that fits that mood. And then I just kind of have to force myself to read it, because I know I'll get into it and I know that I will love it eventually. It's just the beginning part that is kind of the hardest to get through. So yeah, just find a book that kind of fits the mood or fits like what you want, and then just push yourself through it. Don't push yourself too much, because then you end up like hating it or something, or resenting that book, which we never want. But that's honestly all I can say for that. Again, I haven't really been in a book slump in a while, but that's typically what I find myself doing. Okay, this next question is a fun one, but it is, if you could spend a day inside a book, which book and what character would you pick? Like I said, I'm a very anxious person, and me living in a book as like the protagonist would not end well for me. I would die very quickly, and I'd be fine with that because that stress I could not handle. So I'm gonna go with the very basic answer and say The Summer of Broken Rules. I want to be Meredith because wit is amazing. Her whole summer just seems so much fun. And, you know, her life isn't perfect. You know, she's going through a major tragedy, which I would hate to go through. That would be the worst part of being her. But it is just a very cute story. And I would love to live in the world that is basically the world I live in now, just with a cooler life. For those of you who don't know, it's about this girl Meredith who goes to a island with her family. At least I think it's an island. They go every summer, and this summer she's without her sister because her sister just passed, and it's for a wedding for somebody in the family, one of their cousins, and she ends up kind of teaming up with this guy Whit in this competition that they have where it's like with water guns. They go around trying to like take each other out or take out the person they got like the name of, and it's just really fun, and it's like a really cute story, and I absolutely love it. And another person asked what fictional world would I live in, and if I had to choose like an actual fictional world, like not something based on today, not a contemporary, I have a couple of picks, but mind you, I would not want to be the person dealing with all the issues, because no thank you. I would not do well with that. But a couple fictional worlds that I would just like love to live in is Warcross by Marie Lu. Like, it's so cool because it's all virtual reality, and there's like all these like really fun games and sports, and you just kind of like live in this virtual world, which, I mean, let's be real here, we're getting closer to every day. But it just seems really cool, and some of the things that they can do and like their levels, it just seems fun, and I think that'd be cool to do for a while. I don't know how long it'd take me to get sick of it, but I think it'd be fun. And, you know, maybe I would try some of the virtual sports, because maybe I would be better at the virtual sports than I am at real sports. Another world that I think would be really cool to live in, and this is just for the vibes, okay, because the vibes in this book are immaculate. Like, I would not want anything to do with the actual plot. I don't want anything to do with the fates or anything. In fact, I probably wouldn't even play the game. I just want to dress pretty and do all these fun, cool things. Like, it seems fun. I think Carval would be a cool world to live in. I think it'd be really fun to just not really play the games, just kind of vibe in this world and have fun with like the magic and stuff, and not get myself too involved with things, because that would suck. They go through some like real crap in this book. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I've been saying that a lot. I think most people know what Carval is about, but it's about this fictional world that's very, I don't know how to describe it. It's just very magical, and just, I really don't know how to describe it. It's about this competition that these two sisters gets dragged into after writing letters to the creator of this game, Legend, and Scarlet, one of the sisters, has to win the game to get back her sister. And it's just really cool, and I think it would be fun to be in. And then another one, which I feel like goes against everything I've been saying about me not being able to handle like big adventure scary things, is Percy Jackson. Okay, I've been wanting to be in this book since I was in 4th grade. If I could choose a book, if I could choose a fictional world to dive into, it would be this one. I would want to see who my godly parent is, and I would think training would be fun. I would hate to go on quests, and I probably would refuse to go on quests, but I think it would be really cool to just live in here for a bit, because it's just one of my favorites. So yes, and maybe I could befriend Percy, and that would be really amazing, because he's amazing and I love him. Erin asked, what book made you fall in love with reading? I kind of have 2 answers for this one. One of them for sure is Percy Jackson. My brother made me read it when I was in about 4th grade, and I don't think I really ended up diving into it until about 6th grade. It was the book I had like my first fangirl moment with. Just that excitement when Percy and Annabeth kissed for the first time, and it was like the first time a book really made me like feel things, and I realized just how amazing books can be. It was the first series that I really like found myself like getting wrapped into and not really wanting to get out of it. And so Percy Jackson, I really have to thank for my obsession now. So thank you, Rick Riordan. You have in fact created a monster. Thank you for that. But another book that I really loved, I read it in 5th grade, and it was amazing, and I made all my friends read it, and so we can talk about it, and that is Divergent. I watched the movie first. I didn't know it was a book, so I watched it with my brother and my dad, and I loved it, and I was like, I need to read that book. So I ended up reading the book, and it sucked me in, and this book is just absolutely amazing. Would I like it now? Probably not, but it definitely sparked a love for dystopians, and it was the first book series that I bought for myself. I remember going on Amazon and ordering like the box set, and I did it with my like own birthday money. It was a very key book for my book reading journey. Those are my two gateway books. This one question is, what are your book deal breakers? Theirs is badly written main characters. Badly written main characters definitely does take a lot out of a book for me because I rely on the characters more than I do the plot for books, because if like the characters are bad then I won't be able to love it, which is probably why I rated like Cruel Prince and Seven Husbands so low. It's because I didn't love the characters despite like the plot being really good and the world being really good. But some deal breakers for books for me would be the miscommunication trope. I hate that trope. It always gives me anxiety and it just makes me want to yell at them the entire time. I have a hard time with it. Another deal breaker for books is secondhand embarrassment. I hate secondhand embarrassment. I can't handle it well, and it makes me just have to put down the book for a little bit and just breathe, because like, no, this isn't happening to me, but I hate witnessing it happening to somebody else. So secondhand embarrassment is probably my number one book deal breaker, and it happens, I feel like, in a lot more way contemporary books. Kind of a lot of embarrassing things happen. Like in Better Than the Movies, I kind of got secondhand embarrassment a bit, and it was stressful, and I got really stressed. And I don't like getting stressed. Next question asks, if I could meet one fictional character, who would it be and why? There are a lot. There's definitely a lot that I would want to meet. I feel like it would be hard for me to meet one of my book boyfriends because I know that they're already in love with somebody else, so probably not one of them. But one fictional character I would love to meet is Percy Jackson, because who wouldn't want to meet him? I think it would be amazing to meet him, and I would have a very fun conversation. I'd probably actually wouldn't end up talking much. I probably would be too like starstruck, awed by just him. Just him. Another fictional character I would love to meet is Nikolai Lantsov and Zoe Nazialensky, because I am in love with both of them. And I just think seeing their dynamic in real life would be amazing. I think me meeting any fictional character wouldn't end as well as I wanted to, because I would just be freaking out the entire time. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, it would be like anybody meeting their favorite celebrity. I just would be like starstruck. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with you, you're amazing. So the conversation would not be much, but it would be cool to meet those three characters. Like, it would be amazing and I would love it. One person asked who I would bring if I were to visit a fictional world for 24 hours. I would bring two people. Okay, I'm breaking the rules a little bit. I would bring two people, and those people would be Alyssa and Elsa. Both I met on Twitter. I haven't met either of them in real life, but I just know that it would be amazing. We would kill it because we would all be so familiar with the world that like it would just work out so well, and I feel like we all would just work really well together. And like if we were in Caraval, if we went to Caraval together, we would win. Absolutely, we would win. And I feel like we just all have our own strengths that would play in really well together. And even if we didn't win, it would be a blast because it would be the three of us in this like fictional world that we all love, and we would probably be freaking out the entire time, and it would just be amazing. And we'd all get to dress up, and I couldn't imagine anything better. Another person I would love to bring with me into a fictional world, and I'm not just saying this because I know she's watching this video right now, is my best friend Laurel. Little name drop. I met her in real life in college, and we would also do amazing in any fictional world together. She probably wouldn't know what would be going on unless it's in the Grishaverse, because I got her to read that book series, but I think we would do amazing together and it would just be a blast. So those three people I think would just make a really fun adventure, even if like we didn't win or like we weren't really doing anything. I think it would still be a really fun time. And it's such a fun question to think about because no, it's never gonna happen, but if it could, that would be amazing, and I love that so much. Next question is, what are some of my favorite tropes? Okay, so this is my first video, so if you haven't seen me on Twitter, or I guess a little bit of Instagram, you won't know how much I love the found family trope. It is my #1 favorite trope out of all of them. I don't like, nothing can beat the found family trope. Like, no romance trope, no plot trope, nothing can beat the found family trope for me. And it's amazing and I love it. I also love a good grumpy ex sunshine book. I think those are always really good. It's just such a fun dynamic and I love to see it, especially if it's done well. I think it's just to die for. I love the reluctant chosen one, just like the chosen one who doesn't want to be there and just like is struggling. I always think is a fun one. Enemies to lovers I do like, but only when it's like actually enemies to lovers, because I don't think you can have like a real enemies to lovers in a contemporary book. I think that's rivals to lovers, and I can get into that whole thing another time, but I do think like enemies to lovers, when it's done well, is amazing. I also do love reluctant allies to lovers too, because I just love that dynamic where they're just like thrown together and they're like, I don't want to be with you, and they're like, I'm falling in love with you, and I just think I think it's a fun one. I feel like I have a lot more tropes that I like, but I can't think of any. So maybe I'll do another video later of like breaking down all my favorite tropes when I can think about it more and can actually say all my favorite tropes. But those are my top ones. Those are ones I can like think of always, and I love them. Especially the found family trope. No one can hate that trope ever. It's just immaculate. Now this next question is, what's one book you recommend to everyone regardless of the genre? I have a couple of these because I just love recommending books, and I feel like a lot of the books I recommend are pretty specific. Like, I will recommend you a book that I think you will like based off like what I know you have read in the past and have enjoyed, and I just like giving specific book recs. But there are some books that I just will recommend to you no matter what. And so a couple of these are, of course, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I love getting people to read this. It's just so good, and I think everybody like has a chance to love it. Even if you don't love mystery, even if you don't love like YA, I feel like there's just a chance that you can love this. Another one is not really a popular book, and I think it should be. It's such a cute book. It's about this girl in college who's studying abroad in England, and she is going to medical school, but her study abroad program is actually for writing because she just like wants to write, and even though her parents' expectations are for her to become a doctor in medical school. It's just a really good book for college kids. I think that if you're in college, you should read this, especially if you're kind of struggling with your identity and your role in life. I just think it's amazing, and it has the best twist in it. It's just amazing, and it has a very cute romance. Another one is Gear Breakers. This book, it's so good. It's a sapphic dystopian enemies to lovers. So if that doesn't make you want to read it, I don't know what will. It takes place in this world where there are these like really big robots run by these like cyborg humans. I feel like I'm butchering this description because it has been a while since I read it. But it is so good, and it has found family, and it has like an amazing cliffhanger. I have yet to read the second one because I don't own it yet. I have to wait to buy it, and I just need to own it when I read it because that's just like kind of the reader I am. But it's just amazing, and I really can't wait to finish this duology. Seriously, please pick this book up. It's amazing. Now, another book. If you know me on Twitter, you know that I have been recommending this book to everybody, and it has taken over just a lot of my tweets, and that is All of Us Villains. I didn't love the first book as much as I loved the second book. I just think the second book's better because it's like the first book sets it up really well. And so they work really well together and it makes for an amazing series, and I just think everybody should read this because I know everybody will love it. It is a urban fantasy about this ancient tournament where these 7 families each send a kid to fight each other for the use of the high magic in the world because it has been locked away and can only be controlled by one of these 7 families. Everything just kind of goes wrong. It has enemies to lovers times 2, more in the second book. Romance comes more in the second book, but it's still really amazing, and it is very Hunger Games-esque. Okay, I will answer 2 more questions for this video, and then I think I got like a majority of the questions that were asked. One person asked, what was your last 5-star read? It was All of Our Demise. It is the sequel to All of Us Villains. I mean, look at these covers. How can you not love them? I think I just got makeup on that. Anyways, it's just amazing. The enemies to lovers, the competition, which everything going wrong, the magic, the tournament. I love this book, and it just had me screaming. It had me crying at one point, like actually tears spilling down my face. But it was just so good. It was so good, and I really want everybody to read this series, and it's because of how much I loved this book that I am getting everybody to read the series. Another one of my latest 5-star reads was Daughter Dalloway by Emily France. It was just so good. It was so good, and I'm not going to stop talking about how good it is, so everybody should read that one too. Okay, I can't find this question on my Twitter thread where people had asked me questions, but I do remember seeing it pop up. I still want to answer this question, if not for the person that asked it, just for anybody who wants to do this. I can't remember the exact question. It was either something to do with how to like make friends on Twitter, or just how to have like a successful or active Twitter account. You know, for those of you who don't know, I have about 3,600 followers on Twitter, so I don't know if you consider that a very like successful Twitter account or a big one or whatever, but it's just something that I love, and I would love to give people advice if they want to get involved with book Twitter or really like any form of Twitter, because I love Twitter. Heads up, like I have been active on book Twitter for about 2 years. I've had my account since 2019. I didn't start posting until about like May 2 years ago. So it's been a bit of a long journey to get to where I am now with my followers and like with the friends that I have made on Twitter, but some advice that I can give you is to just stay active. The more active you are, the more people will see your tweets and the more people will interact with you. I think it's easier to get a hit tweet when you've been tweeting a lot more. I know the one time I actually got like an actual hit tweet over 3,000 likes or something was when I had been active like a lot that weekend. So that definitely stay active, and it's hard sometimes. Even I'm not active all the time. I'm not really active right now because I've been in the process of moving back home. Just definitely stay active, and then don't be afraid to talk to people. I made one of my best friends on Twitter because I kind of like put myself out there and interacted with her a lot, and that's Alyssa. So if you're watching this, I love you. So yeah, so those are like the biggest 2 pieces of advice I can give you, is to just stay active and interact a lot. Like it's scary sometimes just like interacting with people, especially if they don't follow you, but it does a lot more than you think it does. And so I don't know if I'm the best person to be giving advice on this, but I love Twitter, and if you want to become more prominent on there, those are the 2 things that I suggest. So yeah, I hope that helped. I'm sure there's more pieces of advice I can give. Maybe I can make a video about that too. That's what I have to say for right now. So thank you for asking that question. And with that, my very first video comes to an end. Thank you so much if you stuck through all the way to the end. And thank you for asking questions if you did. I hope I was able to answer all the ones that you wanted me to answer. I'm sorry if I skipped any. Let me know if you want a part 2. Please don't be afraid to ask me more questions in the comments. I love answering bookish questions. I just love everything about books. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you all have a great week. I will see you next time. I have a lot of books around me now. I have to put them all away. I didn't think this through.